I sat in front of the mirror, staring at the small velvet box resting in my palm, the ring inside glistening under the light. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. I'd planned this proposal for months, each detail meticulously thought out. Valentine's Day, our day. The day I would finally make Olivia my wife. I could hear her laughter coming from the kitchen, the sound of her soft voice filling the house. We had been together for 5 years now, and yet there were moments when I still felt like I was walking on eggshells, trying to prove I was the right man for her. As much as I loved her, there was something in the way she held back, in the way she never truly opened up. Maybe it was just me overthinking it. Maybe it was just how relationships worked. But tonight I was going to ask her to spend the rest of her life with me, hoping that, just for once, she'd show me that she felt the same way. I glanced at the clock. 6:30 p.m. We'd agreed on a quiet dinner at home, just the two of us. I'd already had the restaurant reservations canceled. This was meant to be intimate, personal. It's just like the bond I thought we shared. But the doubts, they still lingered. I stood up, pacing the room. Olivia had been distant lately, and not just emotionally. She would drift off mid-conversation, her attention lost to something I couldn't put my finger on. Her eyes, once so full of warmth, often seemed distant, now like she was somewhere else entirely, somewhere I couldn't follow. I tried to push these thoughts aside, reminding myself that tonight would change everything. I would propose, and we'd finally take that step forward, sealing our future together. The ring felt heavy in my pocket as I walked into the kitchen. Olivia was standing by the counter, her back to me as she sliced vegetables. Her long brown hair cascaded down her back, and I couldn't help but watch the way she moved, so effortlessly graceful. I loved her, I really did. "Hey, babe," I said, walking over to her and brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. She smiled, but didn't look up. "Hey, Ethan, dinner's almost ready." I leaned against the counter, trying to gauge her mood. "You're not nervous, are you?" I asked, my voice light, though the question felt heavier than I meant it to be. She finally turned around, offering me a tight smile. "Nervous? Why would I be nervous?" I swallowed, holding her gaze. "Just ... about tonight, about us." Her smile faltered just for a moment, but it was gone before I could register it fully. "We're fine, Ethan. Don't worry about it," she said, dismissing my concern with a flick of her wrist. I felt a pang of unease. "Right," I muttered, forcing a smile. But deep down, I could feel the tension simmering beneath the surface. Olivia was always so calm, always in control. It was part of what I admired about her. But sometimes, it felt like I was the only one trying to keep us together. I glanced at the ring in my pocket, the weight of it now a reminder of all the things I wanted to fix, things I couldn't quite understand. "I've been thinking," I started, the words escaping before I could stop them. "We've been together for 5 years, and it feels like we're at a crossroads, you know?" She looked up from chopping the carrots, her brow furrowing in confusion. "A crossroads? What do you mean?" I hesitated, unsure if I should bring it up now, of all times. "I mean, sometimes I feel like you're slipping away, like emotionally. I want us to be closer, to really share something real. But I don't know if I'm the only one trying." Olivia paused for a moment, the knife in her hand still. Then, without meeting my eyes, she shrugged. "Ethan, we're fine. We've been doing great. Don't overthink it." Her words hit me harder than I expected. Don't overthink it. It was as if she hadn't even heard me. I tried to smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. I felt that familiar wall between us again, thickening as she dismissed my feelings. I had never wanted anything more than to make her happy. But sometimes I wondered if it was ever enough. It wasn't the first time she'd brushed aside my concerns. She had a way of doing that, shutting down the conversations that mattered most. I wanted to tell her that I loved her, that I believed in us. But right now, the ring in my pocket felt like a cruel reminder of the distance between us, a reminder of all the unsaid things that hung in the air like a storm. "I just thought tonight would be special," I said, my voice softer now. "We've been through a lot, and I want to make sure we're both on the same page." Olivia's eyes flickered with something. Was it impatience? Maybe I was imagining it. "We're fine, Ethan. Trust me." But I couldn't trust her anymore, not in the way I used to. Not when it felt like she wasn't even trying to meet me halfway. The moment lingered in the air, thick and uncomfortable. I could feel my heart racing, the words that had been building inside me threatening to spill out. but instead I just nodded. Right, I guess I'll get the candles ready. She nodded absently, turning back to the food she was preparing, and I could only watch as she moved, disconnected. I felt the weight of the ring pressing into my palm. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. But somewhere along the way we'd lost each other, and I wasn't sure how to find my way back. I stood there, holding the box in my hand, heart racing as I stared at Olivia, who stood in front of me with that smile she always wore when she was happy. I had imagined this moment so many times, but none of my fantasies ever prepared me for what would come next. I had just finished setting up the candles, the soft glow casting a warm, romantic light around the room. The air smelled faintly of roses, her favorite hand. The anticipation bubbled up inside me, making my hands shake slightly. Tonight was going to be the moment I asked her to be mine forever, to make her my wife. "Olivia," I began, my voice thick with emotion, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about what we've been through, how far we've come. And I know that, more than anything, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're everything to me." She looked at me with that same smile, the one that made everything seem okay. "Ethan," she whispered softly, "what's all this?" I took a deep breath, opening the box to reveal the ring. It glinted in the candlelight. "Perfect. I want to ask you something. I want us to take the next step. To commit to each other truly. Will you marry me?" The words left my lips, and the room fell silent, save for the crackling of the candles. Olivia's eyes widened as if she hadn't expected this moment at all. But it wasn't the joy I had hoped for that filled her face. It was panic. She took a step back, her hand trembling slightly as she placed it on her chest. "Ethan, what is this? What are you doing?" My heart slammed against my ribs, my stomach flipping. "Olivia," my words caught in my throat, and the joy I'd felt just moments ago twisted into confusion. "What's wrong?" She shook her head, eyes darting around the room like she was searching for an escape. No, this can't be right." I felt my pulse quicken, a cold sweat trickling down my back. "What do you mean you're not happy?" Her breathing became shallow, and she ran a hand through her hair, clearly struggling to find the right words. "I didn't expect this, Ethan. I don't know what to say." The doubt crept in, a shadow spreading through me. "What do you mean? Are you saying no?" My voice cracked, the tension unbearable. She hesitated, biting her lip before meeting my gaze. "Ethan, I can't say yes." I took a step toward her, feeling like the floor beneath me was slowly falling away. "Why? What's wrong?" She looked away, a tear slipping down her cheek. "Because I've been seeing someone else." The words hit me like a slap to the face, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. I opened my mouth to speak, but no sound came out. It felt like my entire world had just crumbled. The ring in my hand felt like a weight too heavy to carry. "What?" I whispered, my voice shaking. "What did you just say?" Olivia's eyes filled with regret. She wiped her tear away quickly, as if it never happened. "It's someone from my past. Someone I never should have gotten involved with again. His name is Bradley Simmons." Bradley Simmons. I recognized the name immediately, though I never thought I'd hear it like this. The man she had once been in love with, the man I had heard about only in passing conversations and stories that never seemed to matter until now. The man who had always been there, waiting for his chance. "You've been seeing him behind my back?" The words burned as they left my mouth. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," she said quickly, her voice breaking. It wasn't supposed to be anything, but I couldn't stop it." Her words tumbled out in a jumbled mess, as if she were trying to explain away the mess she had made. I staggered back, the room spinning around me. "How long?" I choked out, barely able to form the words. She bit her lip, unable to meet my gaze. "A few months." The world seemed to tilt on its axis as her words echoed in my ears. "A few months. All this time, while I had been planning this perfect proposal, Olivia had been lying to me. I'd been completely unaware, blind to everything happening right under my nose. I could feel the anger rising, bubbling up from somewhere deep inside me. It was a slow burn, spreading through every inch of my body. But more than that, I felt the searing pain of betrayal. My hands shook as I looked down at the ring in my palm. The hope I'd felt just moments ago felt so distant now. "I thought we had something real," I said through clenched teeth. "I thought I was everything to you." Olivia looked at me with desperation in her eyes. "Ethan, please. I didn't want to hurt you. But the damage had already been done. The weight of her betrayal pressed down on me, suffocating me. I wanted to yell at her, to demand answers, but instead, I felt numb. The world around me started to fade, and all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. "You don't get to hurt me like this," I said, my voice cold and controlled, the hurt bubbling just beneath the surface. "I gave you everything." She stepped toward me, but I backed away, holding up a hand to stop her. "No," I said firmly, my voice shaking with a mixture of fury and heartbreak. "Don't come near me." She stopped, her face a mask of regret. "Ethan, I'm sorry. Never meant for any of this to happen." I couldn't hear her anymore. The pain was too much. I turned on my heel and walked away, feeling the weight of the divorce papers in my pocket, my final act, my final choice. I couldn't breathe. The weight of Olivia's confession pressed down on me, crushing me beneath it. Bradley Simmons. A name I'd heard whispered in the background for months. A shadow in our relationship that I never thought would fully materialize. But now, hearing it from her lips, it felt like a knife had twisted in my chest. I stepped out of the house, slamming the door behind me. My mind raced. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this after everything we'd been through? I walked aimlessly, my footsteps quick, my heart heavy with every step. The cold air bit at my skin, but I barely noticed. My thoughts consumed me, thoughts of her, of Bradley, of everything that had been building up over the past months. How had I been so blind? I thought we were happy. I thought we had something real. But now, it was all just a lie. I found myself at a park, sitting on a bench, staring at the empty swings. My mind wandered back to the good times, the moments we'd shared when things felt effortless, when love felt easy. But those moments now felt tainted, like a beautiful painting ruined by a single ugly stroke. I didn't know how long I sat there, but eventually my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't have to look at the screen to know it was Olivia. She had been calling nonstop since I left. Part of me wanted to pick up, to hear her out, to understand why. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. Not yet. Not when the anger was still too fresh. Tom's name popped up next. I stared at it for a long time, considering whether I should answer. Tom had always been there for me, through everything. He was the one who'd helped me through rough patches, the one who never judged. But right now I didn't know how to face him. I didn't know how to face anyone. I let the call ring out, but I couldn't ignore the feeling gnawing at me. Tom was my best friend. He deserved better than to be kept in the dark. With a sigh, I tapped the screen, bringing the phone to my ear. "Yo, Ethan, what the hell's going on, man?" Tom's voice was sharp, but there was concern behind it. I knew he was trying to be tough, trying to hold it together for me, but I could hear the worry in his tone. "I don't know, Tom," I muttered, my voice cracking. "I don't know what to think anymore." "Did you talk to her?" Em asked. I hesitated, rubbing my eyes. "Yeah," she admitted it. "She's been seeing him for months." Bradley Simmons. There was a pause on the other end of the line. I could almost hear Tom processing the words, trying to make sense of them. "Jesus, man. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say." "There's nothing to say," I replied bitterly. "It's done. I can't trust her anymore." "Listen to me." Tom's voice softened. "You don't have to make any decisions right now. Just talk, take a breath. You're angry, and I get it. But you need to think before you do anything drastic. Think." I scoffed, the bitterness bubbling up again. "What is there to think about?" "She lied to me. She betrayed me." I know. But Ethan, you're not alone in this. I'm here for you, whatever you need. I got your back. But you have to let me in. You can't push everyone away. Not now." I squeezed my eyes shut, feeling the tears threatening to spill. "I don't know what to do anymore, Tom. I've been trying for so long to make things work, to keep us together, but I can't fix this. I can't fix her." "You're not supposed to fix her, man," Tom said firmly. "This isn't on you. Don't let her make you feel like it is." I didn't respond. What could I say? How could I explain the hollow feeling in my chest, the betrayal gnawing at my soul? The woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with had shattered my world, and all I could do was sit here, trying to hold the pieces together. "I'm not saying you should forgive her," Tom continued. But don't do something you'll regret. Take your time. Think about what you want, not what she wants or what anyone else wants. I exhaled sharply, letting his words sink in. I don't even know who I am anymore. I thought we were fine. I thought we were happy. But now, I don't know what's real. That's because you've been putting all your energy into her. Into a relationship that wasn't giving you anything back, Tom replied. You've got to figure out who you are outside of her. And then, maybe, you'll know what to do next. I closed my eyes again, trying to gather my thoughts. I don't know if I can move on. I don't know if I can just walk away from her like this. You don't have to walk away yet, but you need space to figure things out. You deserve to heal, Ethan. You've been putting up with this for too long. The conversation lingered in the air between us, heavy with unspoken understanding. Tom was right. I had been so focused on making her happy, trying to be the perfect boyfriend, that I had lost myself in the process. But how could I just move on from someone I had loved for so long? As I walked back home, the house felt different, colder. I opened the door, but I didn't feel like I was coming home anymore. Olivia was in the living room, sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. She looked up when I entered, but the guilt in her gaze was enough to make me turn away. I don't know what you want from me, Ethan, she said softly. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't know how to respond. All the words I had prepared for this moment felt useless now. The anger, the betrayal, they swirled inside me, but they didn't feel as sharp anymore. They were replaced by something more complicated, something I couldn't name. I don't know what to do anymore, I whispered. I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed. The sheets tangled around my body as my mind replayed the same images over and over again.
Olivia?
Her tear-streaked face as she told me the truth. Bradley Simmons. The man who had slowly, silently wormed his way into her life. Into her heart. I squeezed my eyes shut, but every time I did, the image of her with him would flicker in my mind. They were so easy together, so natural, and that hurt more than anything, because I could never seem to be the man she needed me to be. How had I not seen it? I slammed my fist against the mattress. The anger was still there, bubbling just beneath the surface. But it was joined by something else now, betrayal. I felt like I was drowning in it. The betrayal wasn't just the fact that she'd been with Bradley. It was the way she'd hidden it from me, the way she'd acted like nothing was wrong while I was giving everything I had to her. I pulled myself up, swinging my legs over the edge of the bed. I reached for my phone on the nightstand, my finger hovering over Olivia's name. I hadn't spoken to her since that night, hadn't even seen her. I didn't want to. The silence between us was unbearable. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to ask her why she'd done this, why she'd lied to me. Instead, I put the phone down and stood up, pacing the room. I needed something to clear my head. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't let her get away with this, could I? I thought of revenge. Maybe that would make me feel better. Be confronting her, letting her know I could walk away too. Maybe that would give me the closure I needed. But then I thought about Bradley, the man who'd taken her from me, the man she had chosen over me. My hands clenched into fists. I wanted to hurt him, wanted to see him suffer the way I had. I wanted to make him feel as small as he had made me feel. I could feel the rage building up again, pushing at the edges of my control. Ethan, I muttered to myself, is that really what you want? I stopped pacing, standing still in the center of the room. I stared at the wall, my thoughts a whirlwind. I didn't want to be this person, the guy who sought revenge. I didn't want to turn into someone who couldn't control his emotions. But what choice did I have? I couldn't move on, not yet. Every time I thought of Olivia, I thought of the lies she'd told me. Every time I saw her face, I thought of the way she'd turned her back on me. The thought of her with him, living a life I had once hoped to share with her, twisted something deep inside me. The bitterness swirled, and for a moment, I imagined confronting her again, telling her exactly how I felt, how wrong she was, how she'd ruined everything. I could feel the heat of it, the rush of emotion, the need to punish her for what she had done. I ran my hand through my hair, trying to fight off the anger. No, I told myself. This isn't you. I glanced at my phone again, hesitating for a moment before finally tapping Olivia's contact. I needed to hear her voice. I needed to know where she stood. But then, just as quickly as I had opened her contact, I closed it again. What was the point? What could she possibly say that would make any of this right? I looked at the ceiling, fighting the urge to throw my phone across the room. The apathy in her voice when she told me about Bradley still stung. She hadn't even seemed sorry for what she had done to me. Not really. She'd been too busy justifying herself, telling me how she had been confused, how she had fallen for him, but none of that mattered. She had made her choice, and now I had to make mine. I wasn't going to chase after her. I wasn't going to beg for her love. She had broken me. And yet, as much as I wanted to tell myself that I was done, that I could walk away, part of me still clung to the hope that there was something worth saving, that we could fix it. But no, I was fooling myself. I couldn't trust myself to keep waiting for her to come back, to apologize, to care enough to try and fix things. It wasn't about her anymore. It wasn't even about Bradley. It was about me. I had to put myself first. I had to learn how to walk away. I had to let go. I closed my eyes, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to stop pretending that everything could go back to the way it was. I had to stop torturing myself with the hope that she'd come back and explain everything away with some excuse, some reason for why she couldn't just love me the way I needed her to. I couldn't change the past, but I could change what I did next. I dropped my phone onto the bed and grabbed my jacket. I wasn't going to sit around moping anymore. I had been angry for long enough. It was time for me to take control. It's time to stop blaming myself. I walked out of the room, pulling the door behind me. My steps were heavy, but my resolve was stronger now. There was no going back, not for me. Olivia had made her choice, and now I was going to make mine. I had no idea what to expect after walking away from Olivia. All I knew was that I needed to find myself again. Slowly, I began to find a kind of peace in the chaos, a sense of control that I hadn't felt in months. It wasn't like I'd forgotten about Olivia. How could I? Every corner of my life still had traces of her. Our favorite cafe, the books we'd bought together. Hell, even the shirts I wore felt like a reminder of her. But each day, I became more determined to rebuild, to take back what I'd lost when I gave myself to someone who never really saw me. It wasn't until I ran into Rachel at work that I felt a sense of relief, a lightness I hadn't realized I needed. Ethan, right? Rachel's voice pulled me out of my thoughts as she stood at the coffee machine.
Ow.
I glanced over, surprised to see her standing there with a small smile on her face. Yeah, I replied, returning the smile, though. It felt a bit awkward at first. Rachel, right? She nodded, pouring herself a cup of coffee. I know we've only talked briefly before, but I was wondering if you wanted to grab lunch sometime.
Oh.
I know you're probably busy, but I didn't let her finish. Lunch sounds good, I said before I could stop myself. It was the first time in a while I hadn't hesitated to make plans. She grinned, and we exchanged numbers. Felt nice, simple, no drama. It wasn't a romantic thing, at least. I didn't think it was, but I was beginning to feel like I could talk to her without the weight of the past pressing down on me. A few days later, we grabbed lunch at a small spot near the office. The conversation flowed easily. We talked about work, our lives, random things that didn't matter much, but still made me feel heard. It was the first time I'd felt genuinely comfortable in weeks. You okay? Rachel asked as she stirred her coffee, her eyes flickering over to me. I stared at my sandwich for a moment, gathering my thoughts. Yeah, I'm fine. Just trying to figure things out. You don't have to talk about it, she said, her voice warm, understanding. But you seem like you've been carrying something heavy. It's good to talk about it sometimes. I nodded, though I didn't say anything. I didn't feel ready to dive into all of it with her, not yet. But it was nice to know she wasn't pushing me. As we continued talking, I started to realize just how much I'd been avoiding people. Friends, family, the world outside of my own mind. But Rachel was different. She didn't ask me to open up, but she made me feel like I could. That's when I started noticing things about Olivia, things I hadn't wanted to see at first. The first sign that her relationship with Bradley wasn't as perfect as she'd made it seem. I saw her at a bar one Friday night of all places, and she didn't see me at first. The perfect couple, yeah, not so much. I didn't want to be there watching them, but I couldn't help it. I stayed in the shadows, observing as Bradley raised his voice, a sharp edge to his words. Olivia's face crumpled, and she quickly stood up to leave. As she walked out, she nearly bumped into me. She stopped, her face falling as she recognized me. Ethan, ... double quotes, she began, her voice hesitant. I didn't say anything. The guilt was written all over her face. She opened her mouth, but I just shook my head and turned away, walking out of the bar without looking back. The feeling of watching her fail wasn't satisfying like I thought it would be. It was hollow. But it was also a reminder that she wasn't the person I thought she was. She wasn't perfect. She wasn't even close. As I walked back to my apartment that night, I felt something new. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even betrayal. It was something I hadn't felt in a long time. Strength. I didn't need her. I didn't need to seek revenge or hold on to this grudge. What I needed was to keep moving forward, to stop looking back. And I was finally starting to understand that. Rachel called me the next morning, and I didn't hesitate to pick up. "Hey," she greeted me, her voice bright. "I was thinking of checking out that new movie this weekend. You up for it?" I smiled genuinely this time. "Yeah, sounds good." And just like that, I felt a shift inside me. I wasn't completely healed. I wasn't even close. But I was learning how to live without her, without Olivia. It felt strange, but it felt right. I hadn't realized how lost I was until I started finding myself again. For weeks, I'd been numb, drowning in the anger and hurt Olivia had left behind. I'd put my life on pause, letting her betrayal eat at me, piece by piece. But slowly, something changed. I stopped thinking about revenge. I stopped thinking about the mess she'd made of everything. And finally, I started thinking about me. I walked into the office one morning, feeling ... different. The weight that had been on my shoulders for so long was gone, replaced by a quiet confidence I hadn't known I still had. I was still me. I still had a future. It wasn't going to be with Olivia, but that didn't mean my life was over. It was time to rebuild. "Ethan, you good?" Tom asked, looking up from his desk as I passed by. I paused, offering him a small smile. "Yeah, I'm good, man. Better than I've been in a while." He raised an eyebrow. "About time." I chuckled, the sound feeling unfamiliar, but comforting. I guess I just needed some time to figure things out. Tom leaned back in his chair, his arms crossed. "Well, whatever it is, keep it up. You look like you're back in control." "Working on it," I said, nodding. That afternoon, I took a walk with Lily. It had been a while since we'd spent time together. Since everything with Olivia had happened, we'd both been busy. But Lily had been a constant presence in my life, and she was someone who knew how to pull me out of my own head. "So," she said casually, as we walked down the street, "how's everything going with you?" "Better," I replied, glancing at her. "I've been ... focusing on work on myself, trying to move forward, you know." She stopped and turned to face me, her expression thoughtful. "Ethan, I've been worried about you. You've been holding on to this anger for so long. I know it's hard, but you need to let it go." I swallowed, looking down at the sidewalk. "I've been trying, but it's hard, Lily. She hurt me. She betrayed me." "I know," she said softly. "But you're letting her hold you back. You're letting her control your life even now. Don't let her do that." I looked up at her, meeting her gaze. "What do you mean? You have the power to heal. You have the power to move on. But you can't do that if you're still letting her pain control your every decision." Her words cut deep, but in the best way possible. Lily was right. I had been letting Olivia's actions dictate my emotions. I had let myself spiral into darkness because of something she had done. It wasn't fair to me. It wasn't fair to my future. "You're right," I muttered. "I can't keep living like this." "That's all I wanted to hear," Lily said, smiling. "Now go out there and take control." The next day, Olivia called. I saw her name flash on my phone, and for a moment I hesitated. It had been weeks since we'd last spoken, and part of me wanted to hear what she had to say. I wanted to know if she'd figured out the mess she had caused. But the other part of me, the part that had started to heal, knew better. I didn't answer. But the next time she called, I picked up. "Ethan," Olivia said, her voice shaking slightly. "I need to talk to you, please." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath before responding. "What is it, Olivia?" "I'm sorry," she said quickly, almost pleading. "I know I can't undo what I did, but I need you to know that I regret everything." I regret hurting you, and I regret making you feel like you weren't enough. I was wrong, Ethan. I was so wrong. Her words stung, but they didn't break me the way they used to. Instead, they felt like they were falling on deaf ears. I'd already done the work of forgiving her. Not for her sake, but for mine. I don't need your apology, I said, my voice steady but firm. You made your choice, Olivia, and I made mine. There was silence on the other end of the line. What are you saying? I'm saying that I've moved on. I'm saying that I'm not going to hold on to this anymore. I can't. Not for you. Not for anyone. She didn't speak for a long time, and I didn't care. This was the closure I needed. I had forgiven her long before she asked for it, but now I was finally giving myself the freedom to live without her weighing me down. I wish you would have fought for us, she whispered, and I could hear the tears in her voice. I fought for us, Olivia. I fought for a long time, but you gave up. I can't keep fighting for something that doesn't exist anymore. I ended the call, not with bitterness, but with relief. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt anymore. I had found my peace. It wasn't until later that night that I realized just how much had changed. I wasn't thinking about Olivia or Bradley. I wasn't consumed by the past. Instead, I was looking forward to a future that had nothing to do with them. I wasn't the same person I was a few months ago, and for the first time in a long time, I was proud of that. As I sat on the couch, the weight of the past lifted from my shoulders. I found myself smiling. A smile that was all mine. The phone buzzed beside me. It was Rachel. Hey, she said, her voice light and easy. Want to grab dinner tomorrow? I paused for a moment, a genuine smile spreading across my face. Yeah, I'd like that. I had been watching her from a distance for weeks now. It's not in some obsessive way, right? But in a way that made me realize something I hadn't before. Olivia wasn't as strong as she liked to think she was. Her perfect life with Bradley wasn't as perfect as she had made it seem. I hadn't heard from Olivia since that last phone call, and frankly, I hadn't expected to. Part of me had wanted to tell her to get out of my life entirely. But there was another one that I didn't like, that still held on to the hope that we might find a way to heal. Still, I knew that chapter was over. I had already moved on. Then I saw it. Olivia, sitting at a cafe, with Bradley. She was laughing, but there was something off about her. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, and Bradley ... He was holding her hand, but there was no warmth in his touch. I knew he wasn't the kind of guy who cared about anyone but himself, but seeing them together like this, seeing the tension between them, made something inside me click. It wasn't perfect. It was never perfect. It was all just a facade. I kept my distance, watching as Olivia looked at her phone. Her fingers trembled slightly. She put the phone down and glanced at Bradley. They exchanged a few words, but I couldn't hear them from where I stood. Bradley leaned in close, and she recoiled, a subtle shift in her posture. She pulled away from him, and he didn't seem to notice, or maybe he just didn't care. I didn't need to see more. I turned and walked away, my chest feeling strangely light. The next day, the news broke. Wasn't a public scandal? Not yet, but the rumors started. Bradley's past was catching up to him, debt lies, shady business deals. Olivia had fallen for a man whose world was built on deceit, and now it was all coming crashing down. There were whispers in the office, friends reaching out, and everyone was talking about Bradley's impending downfall. I could hear Olivia's name being dragged into it too, though she tried to distance herself from the wreckage. I didn't know if I felt satisfaction or just the quiet certainty that karma had a way of working things out. But what struck me the most was that I didn't feel angry anymore. I had hoped that seeing her pay for what she did to me would bring some sense of closure, but instead all I felt was a quiet, almost indifferent acceptance. A week later, Olivia called me again. This time I didn't hesitate. I picked up. Ethan, she began, her voice shaky. I need to talk to you. I rubbed my eyes, trying to shake off the sleep that clung to me. What's going on, Olivia? I messed up. I messed up so badly, she said, her voice cracking. Bradley, he's been lying to me, all this time. I didn't know who he really was. I waited, the silence stretching between us, and then I sighed. You really didn't know? I asked, my tone flat. Or did you just not care? Her breath hitched on the other end of the line. I didn't care enough. I was so focused on the idea of him, the idea of what we could be, That I ignored everything. I ignored you. I ignored myself. Olivia, it's too late for this. You don't get to apologize for what you've done to me after everything's fallen apart for you. You had your chance. There was a long pause, and I could hear her breathing, shallow and broken. Never meant to hurt you, she whispered. I thought I could make it work. I thought it would be different. I let out a bitter laugh. It's always the same story, isn't it? You do what you want, and when things blow up, you come crawling back asking for forgiveness. Her voice trembled. Ethan, please. Stop, I cut her off, my words sharp, cutting through the tension. You don't get to do this anymore. You don't get to apologize for betrayal that you don't even understand. I don't need your apology. I've already forgiven you. Then why don't you want to talk to me? She asked, her voice tinged with desperation. Because it's over. It's done. My chest tightened with the weight of it. I've moved on. And you should too. You both need to let go. I didn't wait for a response. I just ended the call. The finality of it settling in my chest. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't bitter. I was free. The truth was, seeing Olivia lose everything didn't feel like victory. I had already won. I'd already healed. I had already chosen to move forward. And as I sat back in my chair, looking out at the street outside my window, I realized something. I didn't need her to pay for what she did. Life had already taken care of that. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to keep reliving the past. I was done. And for the first time in a long time, I was at peace with that. I never expected Olivia to call me again. It had been weeks since we last spoke, and I had already made my peace. But when her name flashed across my phone screen, my heart skipped a beat. I stared at it for a moment, unsure of what I should do. A part of me wanted to pick up, to hear her out, to see if she had anything new to say. Another part of me, the part that had been growing stronger, knew better. I had nothing left to say to her, but I still answered. Ethan, her voice came through, soft and desperate. It took everything in me not to let my anger flare. I need to talk to you, please. I leaned back in my chair, closing my eyes for a second. What do you want, Olivia? I don't know where to start, but I know I hurt you. I know I broke your heart, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you. I took a deep breath, trying to keep the calm I had worked so hard to build. You're late, Olivia. It's been weeks, and you're still apologizing. It doesn't mean anything now. I know, she whispered, but I can't move on without at least telling you how sorry I am. Never meant for it to go this far, I swear. I didn't want to lose you. Felt a knot in my stomach tighten at her words. But this time, there was no anger. There was just nothing. You had your chance, I said, my voice steady. You chose Bradley. You made your bed. I know, she said, her voice breaking. I was selfish, and I regret it every day. I made a huge mistake, and now I'm paying for it. I closed my eyes again, letting the silence fill the space between us. Olivia's words were just words now. I'd heard them too many times before, and I wasn't going to fall for it again. Olivia, I don't need your apology, I said softly, but firmly. You hurt me. You betrayed me, but I've moved on. I've already forgiven you, not for you, but for me. I can't keep carrying this around, and I won't let you drag me back into it. There was a long pause on the other end, and when she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry. I never wanted to be the reason you hurt. I never wanted to break you. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I didn't feel the need to scream or shout. All I felt was ... peace. Finally, I know you didn't, I replied, the words coming easier now. What you did, what we did, it's over, it's done. And I can't keep looking back. But I still love you, Ethan, Olivia's voice cracked, filled with desperation. I've always loved you. You were my everything, and I ruined it. Please, I can't lose you. I can't. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. You had your chance, Olivia. I don't need you to love me anymore. I don't need you to need me anymore. What I need is for me to be okay, and I am. I've been working on that for a long time. The silence stretched between us again, but this time, I wasn't waiting for her to speak. I wasn't waiting for some miraculous change. The old me would have clung to the hope that there was something to salvage, that we could fix things. But I had learned that some things couldn't be fixed. Some things had to be let go. I'm not angry anymore, I said softly, the words feeling strange but freeing as they left my mouth. I'm not broken anymore. I don't need your forgiveness, Olivia. I've already given it. And now, I just need to let go. There was no response from her. I could feel her pain radiating through the line, but it didn't affect me the way it once would have. I had already forgiven her. I had already freed myself. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was standing on my own 2 feet again, no longer weighed down by the past. "Goodbye, Olivia," I said, my voice soft but resolute. "I hope you find what you're looking for." I didn't wait for her to say anything else. I didn't need to. I'd said everything I needed to say. I was done. I hung up the phone and sat back in my chair. The silence in my apartment no longer heavy. It was peaceful. It was mine. I wasn't the same person I was when this all started. I had changed. I had grown, and most importantly, I had learned to let go. And for the first time in forever, I felt free. I never imagined I'd get here. Sitting in my apartment, surrounded by my things books, a few photos, a plant I kept alive just long enough to feel like I could. I was finally living the life I'd wanted, but never thought I'd be able to have. Peace. It was an odd thing to get used to after so many months of turmoil. But it was mine. I had come a long way since Olivia. A year ago, I would have done anything to get her back, to fix what was broken. I'd spent so much of my energy convincing myself that she was the one for me, that we were meant to be. But now, I realized that I didn't need her. I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was whole on my own. "Ethan, you good?" Tom's voice broke through my thoughts as I sat at my desk staring out the window. I smiled at the sound of his voice. He'd been one of the few constants in my life during the chaos, always there when I needed him. It hadn't been easy for him. Either he'd watched me fall apart, but he never judged. "I'm good," I said, leaning back in my chair. "Better than I've been in a long time." He laughed, but it was more of a relieved exhale than anything. "Man, I was starting to think I'd never hear that from you again." I chuckled, rubbing the back of my neck. "Yeah, well, I guess I'm finally starting to believe it." I wasn't just saying it. I really had moved on. I didn't need Olivia to complete my life. I had found peace in the quiet moments, in the small victories. I'd poured my energy into work, into self-improvement, and most of all, into me. And somehow it was working. I wasn't holding on to the anger anymore. After the last time I'd spoken to Olivia, I stopped checking up on her. I stopped waiting for some miraculous change that would make everything right. She had made her choice, and I had made mine. I didn't need to be part of her life anymore. I certainly didn't need to hold on to the memories of what we had. But that didn't mean I didn't think about it sometimes, about how we were supposed to be happy together, about how in the beginning it all seemed so perfect. But the reality was, we were 2 different people, both too lost in our own issues to make it work. I'd seen Olivia around town a few times in the past few months, but I didn't feel anything anymore. No anger, no sadness, just ... nothing. The last time I saw her, she was standing in front of a cafe, looking a little too put together, like she was trying to convince herself she had it all figured out. Her eyes met mine for a split second, and for that brief moment, I thought about walking over to her to offer some kind of closure. But I didn't. I just kept walking. She had made her bed. I didn't need her anymore. It was hard to explain to someone who hadn't lived through the last year of my life, but I had finally realized something. Love wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about some fairy tale ending where everything was always sunshine and rainbows. It was about trust. It was about respect. It was about feeling valued and knowing that you mattered. And I'd never felt that with Olivia, not like I needed to. My phone buzzed, breaking my train of thought. I looked down, seeing her name flash across the screen. Olivia. I didn't pick up. I didn't need to. She had left her mark on me, but she no longer had control. She had been part of my past, but I had let her go. It wasn't about vengeance or hatred. It was about freedom. My freedom. The freedom to live my life without her, without the weight of our broken relationship dragging me down. I sat back in my chair watching the sky grow darker outside my window. I realized that I had been holding on to this idea of justice, waiting for the universe to somehow punish Olivia for what she did to me. But now I understood that the real justice was in my own growth. I had found my way out of the mess she left behind, and that was enough. I wasn't waiting for her to apologize anymore. I didn't need her to change or regret anything. She had her chance, and she chose to walk away from me. That was her choice. But it wasn't mine. I had taken control of my own life again, and I was stronger for it. I found myself smiling as I thought about how far I'd come. My career was on track. I had new friends who cared about me. Not for what I could do for them, but for who I was. I had everything I needed, and none of it involved Olivia. The phone buzzed again. I stared at it for a moment, then put it back down on the table. I didn't need to check. I didn't need to know what she wanted this time. I had already forgiven her. I had already found my closure. I didn't need her anymore. The silence in my apartment felt comfortable now. I was at peace. I was free. For the first time in a long time, I realized I didn't need anything else.